perfectly fine. Everything is perfectly fine. Everything is perfectly fine. I can say it so many times. Ain't okay. Ain't fine. You see how I just try to, did you see how I just try to convince myself?
Listen, if you thought Blueface and Chrisean saga was already chaotic enough to make the Kardashians look like a quiet church picnic, buckle up, because the internet is whispering a bombshell so spicy it might melt your screen. Word on the digital streets is that Blueface allegedly sent a squad, yes, a whole entourage of loyal soldiers, hunting down Chrisean Rock and Baby Jr. like we just entered the season finale of a toxic hip-hop TLENOVLA. And where's Chrisean? According to the timeline detectives and motel carpet investigators, she might be bouncing from motel to motel, switching rooms like she's hiding national secrets instead of dirty laundry. Some folks swear she's peeking through curtains, clutching Junior, and bracing herself for Blueface's Goons like she's starring in a low-budget action sequel nobody asked for but everyone's watching anyway. Screenshots, cryptic posts, location blurs. Suddenly, it all feels like a breadcrumb trail straight from Hollywood's most dysfunctional love story. Is this real? Is it rumor? Or are fans just out here inventing dramas wilder than Zeus Network plot twists? All we know is that every update gets more insane. Every comment thread looks like a crime board. And you're about to hear the version nobody's brave enough to say out loud. Until now, the internet didn't just wake up messy today. It woke up volcanic. 1 minute, everything looked like the usual recycled screenshots and petty supposts. And then boom, whispers started circulating that Blueface allegedly activated some kind of mission mode on Chrisean Rock and Baby Jr. Not a casual unfollow. Not a bitter lyric, but a full-blown hunt with people claiming to know her whereabouts, tracking motel carpets, and zooming into blurry hallway selfies like they were decoding CIA intel. Suddenly, every stranger with a Wi-Fi signal was convinced they were part of a secret task force trying to understand how Chrisean went from public spotlight to rumored motel hideouts, and why Blueface's name kept popping up as the one allegedly lighting the fuse. Social feeds turned into digital crime labs. Users shared theories, timelines, and last-seen posts as if Junior had been added to America's most wanted list. Every crumb looked suspicious. Every motel sign became evidence. People swore they recognized exterior walls, bathroom tiles, and parking lot layouts, all while claiming Blueface's circle might be trailing behind her every move. And in the middle of it all sat Chrisean, silent, blurry, and strategically missing. While fans painted her escape like a runaway episode of the most dysfunctional series hip-hop has ever birthed, the wild energy didn't start overnight. This mess didn't appear out of thin air. It was brewed by weeks of cryptic tension between Blueface and Chrisean that only needed a spark. Everyone already knew their story was loud, unpredictable, and full of explosions. Public arguments, confusing live streams, social media wars, outbursts that felt like emotional fireworks, and accusations that never seemed to end. They've been headlines, reactions, memes, and cautionary tales rolled into one. So when rumors of Goons and motel switches dropped into the conversation, nobody shrugged. They gasped because somehow the drama escalated past its normal chaos and into something that felt like surveillance footage waiting to leak. Screenshots of messages began circulating. The kind that didn't say much but said everything. Ambiguous warnings, location questions, people claiming someone was being checked on. Even the vaguest emoji became suspicious. Suddenly, the public wasn't just reacting, it was decoding. There were threads comparing motel bedding patterns, arguments about whether a certain wallpaper matched a known chain, and debates over the reflection in a dusty bathroom mirror. It was like every viewer turned into a mini Sherlock with a side passion for chaos. Someone even posted that Chrisean looked like she had change of location stress, as if that's an actual diagnosis. Whether it was true or not, the audience ran with it like the last lap of a relay race. Fueling everything was the tension that's been simmering between Blueface and Chrisean for what feels like a lifetime. Their dynamic has always been a high-speed roller coaster with no seatbelts and a ride at your own risk warning sign. Love mixed with rivalry, loyalty tangled with resentment, and child responsibilities thrown into the blender like hot sauce. Every time the public believed the storm had passed, another lightning bolt hit. From viral arguments to questionable decisions, from co-parenting mishaps to emotional flashpoints, they've never existed peacefully. They've existed loudly. So the idea that things escalated into surveillance-style chases didn't sound impossible. It sounded like the next unfortunate escalation in a saga that's never known the meaning of quiet. Fans didn't just watch, they picked sides. Some began painting Blueface as a mastermind fueled by pride and ego. Others framed Chrisean as a cornered mother clutching her child with desperation. The divide widened fast. One side speculated that he wanted control, some kind of twisted victory lap. Another side insisted she was moving in fear, hopping cheap motels like stepping stones to stay out of sight. Nobody knew what was real, but the theories were unstoppable. Every hour added more smoke, more screenshots, and more claims that the situation was bigger than anyone expected. It wasn't gossip anymore, it was a full-blown digital wildfire. Adding gasoline was the mystery of Junior. Anytime a child is involved, the public's outrage level skyrockets. Suddenly, Chrisean wasn't just rumored to be hiding, she was protecting her baby. Blueface wasn't just accused of pressure, he was pursuing a mother. Posters crafted emotional speeches, dramatic comparisons, and acted like every unproven claim was the last page of a legal case. Imagine hiding with your child because an entire squad is after you, one viral comment said, and just like that, the narrative took on a cinematic shape. Nobody confirmed anything. Nobody showed proof. But in the court of public imagination, the story was real enough to trend not long before this motel speculation even began. You could already see the cracks. Their relationship history has always been a battlefield. Public blow-ups that felt like explosions. Tears, shouting, disappearing acts, reconciliations that looked sweet for half a second, then detonated again. People have called it passion, chaos, obsession, toxicity, trauma, and comedy all in the same breath. So when news dropped that Chrisean was allegedly decking behind motel walls while Blueface's circle hunted her down, the public didn't blink. They leaned in. Because for as long as this saga has existed, every twist has been bigger than the last. Then came the most confusing layer of all, subtle hints from Blueface himself. Cryptic captions, petty lyrics, questionable timing, and enough indirect shade to cover the entire West Coast. No details, no confirmations, just undertones that made people wonder what he really wanted. Was he upset? Did he feel betrayed? Was he attempting to regain control? Was this petty revenge or worried father energy? No one knew. But every time he posted something, even a simple line, fans spun it into a secret message that tied perfectly into the motel hiding narrative. Meanwhile, Chrisean stayed mostly quiet, which only intensified the rumors. Silence in celebrity culture is rocket fuel. If she was fine, some argued she would show it. If nothing was wrong, she'd laugh it off. Instead, the only glimpses people got were grainy clips, inconsistent backgrounds, and what they believed were motel-style headboards. The absence of reassurance became all the proof the internet needed to decide something was happening behind those walls. People whispered that she was trying to stay untraceable, that every move was calculated, and that keeping Junior close wasn't just motherhood, it was strategy. It's still unclear how much came from truth, how much came from speculation, and how much came from pure imagination. But the perfect storm of tension, past conflicts, cryptic posts, and instant internet detectives formed a chain reaction that nobody could stop. Screenshots got reshared, threads stretched miles long. People refreshed profiles like they were waiting for breaking news. And every hour, the motel rumor only got stronger. Jurors of the internet tried to connect dots nobody could verify, but the narrative stayed alive because it was dramatic enough to believe and messy enough to feel real. And that's how the stage set itself. Chrisean allegedly hiding with baby Junior, peeking out from behind motel curtains. Blueface allegedly sending watchers, messengers, and loyal followers to find her. Fans positioned as investigators, voice recording theorists, and self-appointed analysts. No calm, no clarity. Just a story so chaotic that it felt like watching a slow-motion train crash that everyone knew was coming but still couldn't look away from. And the scariest part was the collective belief that this wasn't even the peak, that what started as rumors and blurry posts could still explode into something even louder, messier, and more dangerous than anyone expected. Just when people thought they'd reached maximum confusion, the story took a reckless left turn straight into wildfire-level hysteria. Suddenly, celebrities, influencers, podcasters, and gossip pages began inserting themselves into the narrative like unpaid background actors desperate for a cameo. Screens were flooded with commentary, predictions, theories, and dramatic tearful rants about whether Blueface really had people tailing Chrisean and Jr., or whether the entire situation was simply the internet's latest obsession spiraling into narrative madness. One podcaster went on a rant so long it needed subtitles, declaring that the Motel snapshots were proof enough, while another influencer swore the whole thing felt like the deleted season of a reality show that was chaotic even for Zeus. Cameras, memes multiplied faster than the rumors. Someone edited Blueface's face onto a vintage Mafia poster and labeled him Boss Blue, while another meme showed Chrisean peeking from behind a hotel curtain like she was auditioning for a horror movie. TikTok reenactments sprouted everywhere, with creators acting out scenes using towels as wigs and baby dolls wrapped in blankets. There were dramatic music overlays, fake phone calls, conspiracy boards built out of sticky notes, and even a video where a girl tried matching motel curtains across Google Images as though she held a private investigator license. It was ridiculous, it was hilarious, and it was unstoppable. Every influencer weighed in like they'd been hired as official analysts. 1 minute they were talking about music releases, and the next they were confidently stating that Chrisean was strategically vanishing into low-traffic motels to avoid discovery. Someone else claimed they had anonymous sources close to Blueface, whispering that his alleged goons weren't chasing her to harm her, but to confront her over unfinished personal matters. Nobody explained what that even meant, but it didn't matter. The internet ate it up like popcorn. Screenshots traveled faster than logic, and every new post was treated like a classified leak meant to be decoded in the shadows. The twists didn't stop there. Overnight, discussion threads grew rabid with claims that some of Blueface's associates were spotted in the same cities Chrisean was rumored to be hiding in. Someone claimed they saw a familiar friend of Blueface standing outside a chain motel, talking on a phone with suspicious energy, pacing like he was waiting. Was it a random guy? Probably. Did the viewers care? Definitely not. They zoomed into grainy pixels, speculated motives, exaggerated gestures, and confidently announced that the hunt had reached a new tier. Even celebrities who had nothing to do with the situation chimed in, tossing vague comments or liking suspiciously timed posts that people treated like undeniable evidence. A rapper liked a tweet about protecting mothers at all costs, and comment sections became battlegrounds debating whether that like was directed at Chrisean. An R&B singer reposted a quote about guards sent by narcissists, and suddenly the internet framed it as a subliminal message about Blueface. Every emoji, every shade, every lyric became a potential clue in this scavenger hunt. It was like half the entertainment industry got roped into a storyline they never auditioned for. These pages amplified everything. Titles became more dramatic with each update, dripping with theatrical suspicion. People wrote captions like new motel footage drops even though the footage was nothing more than a still photo of a hallway with terrible lighting. Another page claimed that a car seen in the motel parking lot matched the vehicle of someone connected to Blueface's circle, and that single blurry reflection triggered a 5-hour debate. It didn't matter whether anything was real. The internet wanted drama, and this story served it like a buffet. Underneath all the chaos, one question burned loudest. Why would Chrisean disappear like that? Theories flew harder than confetti. Some said she wanted distance from Blueface after tensions hit a boiling point. Others argued she was hiding out because she feared confrontation. A few insisted that she simply wanted privacy with Junior, and the motel rumors were nothing more than accidental coincidences shaped into a blockbuster plot by thirsty audiences. But viral imagination doesn't believe in coincidences. It needs villains, victims, motives, and scandal. And so it built all from thin air. People even started analyzing her recent posts. If the lighting didn't match previous images, they said she moved. If the bed frame looked different, it meant a motel. If the background was blurred, it was because she feared being tracked. If she wore hoodies and sunglasses, it was called disguise mode. Someone pointed out that her Wi-Fi signal looked weak in a video, which apparently was classic motel connection energy. Logic didn't matter. The narrative made sense because it was chaotic enough to feed the public addiction to spectacle, and while fans played detective on her locations. Theories about Blueface's alleged motives reached comic book villain levels. Some claimed he wanted to take over JR's custody. Others argued he wanted to confront her over hidden information. A few believed he simply wanted control, pride, revenge, or power. Screenshots of his old posts got recycled, captions dissected, and tweets from months ago were treated like sacred scripture that foreshadowed everything. If he breathed wrong, people claimed it was an intimidation tactic. Meanwhile, JR became the symbolic center of the narrative, with strangers acting like guardians who personally swore to protect a child they'd never met. Fan pages wrote emotional speeches as though they were narrating a documentary. One viral clip featured dramatic piano music and the words "Stay Strong, Junior. The world is watching." It was exaggerated, bizarre, and almost surreal. But that's exactly how this saga stayed alive. Every detail had to be enhanced. Every angle had to be dramatic. Because the audience didn't want mild, they wanted explosive. Public outrage also gained momentum. Comment sections became courtroom galleries where every unverified claim was treated like a sworn statement. People demanded accountability. They asked questions nobody could answer. They insisted bodies of people they didn't know should step in or intervene. Some called for investigations, protection orders, and safety checks, as though social media comments automatically triggered legal action. But the louder the outrage, the stronger the narrative grew, because anger is gasoline, and this story soaked itself in it. Celebrities began making snarky remarks. One comedian joked that if the rumors were true, then Blueface's Goon Squad must be the least efficient in history, because how could they not find someone who posts twice a day? Another influencer warned that fans were spiraling into paranoia fed by TikTok editing skills, and maybe everyone needed a nap. But those attempts at rationality were drowned by the drama wave. People didn't want logic. They wanted mystery, conspiracy, and spicy speculation. Then came the twist that fueled everything even harder. Someone claimed Blueface posted a cryptic message that hinted at knowing exactly where Chrisean was. No names, no details, just vague enough to be interpreted as confirmation. Fans didn't wait for clarity. They treated it like a secret confession, proof of pursuit, and motivation for Chrisean's alleged motel hopping journey. Suddenly, every claim looked sharper. Every rumor sounded believable. The story locked into place like puzzle pieces carved from imagination. By the time the memes settled, the debates doubled and posts multiplied like rabbits. Everyone became convinced this wasn't just messy celebrity drama. It was a full-scale psychological thriller. Blueface was painted as the villain storming across digital streets with invisible forces behind him. Chrisean became the survivor, clutching Junior and switching locations like she was on the run from something much darker than relationship drama. And nobody cared whether any of it was documented, proven, or logical. The chaos was entertaining, the theories addictive, and the legend too fun to let go. And at the height of that frenzy, one thing felt certain: if anybody thought the situation couldn't escalate any further, they clearly didn't know how this story works. Because every time Blueface and Chrisean show up in the same sentence, the universe seems to break. Its own record for dramatic insanity, and the motel rumor was only the beginning of a storm that the audience swore was spiraling toward an ending. nobody was emotionally prepared to witness. The story only grew heavier once the internet convinced itself that Chrisean's Motel trail wasn't just rumor fuel but the aftermath of a cold war that had finally cracked open. Comment threads shifted from memes and detective games into wide-eyed speculation about consequences, reputations, and the public stain that would cling to both sides. Suddenly, this wasn't mere chaos entertainment anymore. It became an emotional referendum on who was spiraling, who was reckless, and who would walk away from this saga with their image scorched beyond repair. If Blueface really had people following her, the narrative painted him as a villain with ego issues bigger than his discography. If Chrisean truly vanished with Junior, she became the shadowed mother whose survival instinct forced her into motel purgatory just to breathe without fear. The lines blurred, the roles twisted, and the internet sharpened its judgment like a blade. People started asking what the ripple effect would look like. With Chrisean depicted as cornered, public sympathy ballooned around her. Comments poured in calling her a survivor navigating tension nobody should stomach. Even those who never supported her before suddenly felt protective, because the idea of a mother on the run triggered something primal. Whether it was true or not didn't matter. The rumor itself became a cultural lightning strike, igniting emotional instincts. Every hour, new voices labeled the situation dark, obsessive, and beyond drama. What felt like gossip now sounded like a tragic saga that demanded empathy, outrage, and pity all at once. Meanwhile, Blueface's name took a hammering. His history and public behavior were dragged into the spotlight like evidence folders opened on a courtroom table. Screenshots of old fallouts resurfaced. Past accusations were dusted off. Arguments from months ago were replayed like they were brand new crimes. People questioned his intentions, his maturity, his judgment, and his circle. If the motel storyline stuck even as rumor, the stain wouldn't be easy to scrub. The visual of a man allegedly sending a squad after a woman and child became a permanent tattoo on his public identity, one that felt too wild to ignore. And while his supporters tried to push back, the sheer force of online narrative was a tidal wave anyone would struggle to outrun. And then there was Junior, an innocent child thrown into the center of speculation he didn't ask for. His name became the emotional anchor that made the entire saga feel heavier and more real. Strangers argued fiercely about his safety, stability, and environment. They demanded accountability for decisions they weren't part of. And the alleged motel hideout narrative made people wonder if he was witnessing tension way beyond his age. Every comment that mentioned him grew sharp with worrying, like the situation was less about drama and more about survival. Even if none of it was confirmed, the public imagination turned Junior into a symbol that made everything feel more urgent. Silence from both sides became its own form of fuel. For once, the internet didn't get live arguments, rants, or messy live stream explosions. Instead, there were gaps, long stretches of unexplained quiet from two people who usually broadcast everything. That silence made everyone assume the worst. If nothing was happening, why weren't they saying so? Why weren't they posting normally? Why were backgrounds different, captions vague, and timelines fragmented? The absence of clarity was treated like confession. If anything had calmed, the public would have seen signs. Instead, the information blackout inspired more imagination, more theories, and more belief that motel walls were hiding conversations the world wasn't ready for. As tension built, people began forecasting consequences for whatever the truth might be. Some swore that this situation, rumor or not, would break any possibility of reconciliation. Others argued it would push legal lines nobody wanted to cross. A few even speculated that public perception alone could reshape futures. They said brand deals could evaporate, reputations could crumble, and relationships between parents could turn into a permanent battlefield. And because both Blueface and Chrisean have been lightning rods for controversy already, this rumor attached itself like Velcro to everything the world already thought it knew about them. Public image isn't a fragile glass, it's a mirror. And once cracked, every reflection becomes distorted. For Blueface, the motel hunt narrative cast him as a man consumed by control, ego, and impulsive aggression. For Chrisean, it painted a portrait of a woman exhausted by conflict and pushed to hiding, gripping her baby while praying nobody recognized the motel wallpaper behind her. Even though nothing was confirmed, the world swallowed the storyline whole. And in the court of public opinion, the truth didn't matter nearly as much as the emotion people felt while imagining it. The consequences stretched into the culture around them too. Hip-hop pages began debating what this said about celebrity relationships gone toxic. Podcasts dissected whether fame amplifies instability. Commentators asked how two people so publicly connected could plunge into such dark, uncertain spaces. The scandal stopped feeling like a trending rumor and began sounding like a cautionary tale about love warped into paranoia, loyalty corrupted by pride, and conflicts so loud they echo even through silence. This wasn't just gossip, it was a public meditation on how fast drama can turn into nightmare fuel once millions of curious eyes get involved. And as the days passed, something even stranger happened. Curiosity morphed into expectation. People fully believed there would be a dramatic ending, a confrontation, a revelation, a video drop, or a confession that tied everything together. The audience didn't just want closure. They felt entitled to it. They wanted to know whether Chrisean would step out of a motel doorway with calm eyes and say she was fine. They wanted to know whether Blueface would deny the narrative or accidentally confirm the conspiracy through another cryptic post. They wanted truth, not because they needed it, but because they'd become emotionally invested in the cinematic arc. Yet no ending arrived. No explanation, no bombshell proof, no sudden livestream meltdown clarifying what was real and what was fiction. Instead, the rumor existed in limbo, loud, echoing, and unresolved. That uncertainty carved its own legacy through fan culture. The motel hideout story became folklore, a tale people repeated with a whisper, a smirk, or raised eyebrows. Screenshots remained saved in galleries. Threads stayed posted. Theories lived on without expiration. Because in the strange world created by this saga, the mystery was too delicious to dissolve, and even as speculation cooled, one truth remained solid in the minds of everyone who watched it unfold. Blueface and Chrisean's story never truly ends. It only mutates. Every chapter ends with a cliffhanger. Every rumor gives birth to another. Every moment of silence is treated like brewing thunder. Whether this motel chase existed in reality or only in imagination, it left fingerprints on both of their reputations. People walked away believing they were witnessing something raw, intense, and almost tragic. A storm built from their past, fueled by messy patterns, and magnified by millions of eyes. The motel mystery became the unofficial proof that this saga might never calm down. It reminded everyone that the line between rumor and reality gets thin when drama has a heartbeat. It showed that when two volatile lives collide, the fallout doesn't stay private, it billows through feeds, comment sections, and headlines until everyone feels like part of the story. And after watching the internet react like digital detectives unraveling a thriller, it's clear why no one has moved on. The chaos left too many questions, too many theories, and too much anticipation for whatever explosion comes next. Because if there's anything history has taught the audience, it's this: the moment a Blueface and Chrisean scandal feels over. That's usually when the loudest, wildest, and most unhinged chapter is already crawling toward the surface. And that's where we land, standing on the edge of a rumor-built cliff with every heartbeat waiting for whatever chaotic lightning bolt drops next. Because if there's one thing this saga has proven, it's that nothing ever stays quiet, simple, or predictable when Blueface and Chrisean share a headline. Motel whispers, alleged goon squads, blurred backgrounds, and digital detectives turning hallway carpets into crime scenes. This story was never just gossip. It became a cultural circus with every viewer holding popcorn and a magnifying glass. And if you made it this far, then admit it. You're locked in just like the rest of us, scanning every post, reading every comment, and waiting for the next piece of evidence to shake the timeline again. So here's what you need to do before the next explosion hits. Smash that like button with the same intensity the internet used while zooming into Motel wallpaper. Hit subscribe like you're avoiding Blueface's imaginary surveillance team. Drop a comment below telling me whether you think the motel escape was real, exaggerated, or just the most entertaining rumor the digital world has ever cooked up. Go wild in the comments, because every theory, every perspective, and every sarcastic prediction adds fuel to the conversation and turns our channel into the official nerve center of scandals. Don't forget, this is where the leaks spill first, where the chaos gets narrated louder, and where every suspicious emoji feels like a coded warning. Scandals don't sleep here, they multiply. So gear up, stay tuned, and keep your notifications on high alert. Because if Blueface and Chrisean have taught us anything, it's that the next shockwave always comes when nobody's looking. Welcome to the saga. Welcome to the madness. Scandal spark, where the drama never dies. Spark, where the drama never dies.